Hi, it's Rabbi John, and I'm recording on the third day of Adar, the month when we celebrate Purim. The theme of this series is how Purim is a holiday and a story uniquely suited to the exact time we are in. Today I'm picking up yesterday's compare and contrast between Purim and Passover. Just a straight talk today, no music or funny hair. Yesterday I mentioned the obvious parallel. They tried to kill us, we won, let's eat. And some parallels with a twist, like matzah for Pesach versus hamantashen for Purim. Let's dig deeper. Both are stories about genocidal plots against the Jews. The Exodus story in the Torah is serious and epic, and the Esther story of Purim in the Megillah is silly. But I think if you compare them, the Purim story ends up being more a story of a world like ours. For instance, the Pesach story is set in a kind of a mythical setting, but the Purim story is more real-world. Moses deals with Pharaoh and his magicians, but Esther is dealing with the king and his advisors and officials. Egypt has a king who is regarded by his people as a god. Ancient Persia, where the Purim story takes place, is an empire made up of different people, all with their own local religions, and the king is just run-of-the-mill, actually kind of goofy. The Passover story sounds like a battle between deities using their powers, between our God and Pharaoh. The Purim story doesn't even mention God by name. Also, in the Pesach story, the Jews all live in one part of Egypt, while in the Megillah, the Jews are spread out like us, all across many lands. Between the two settings, Purim sounds at least a bit more like where we live. Let's compare the main characters. Both the Purim and Pesach stories have Jewish protagonists with interesting Jewish identities, who had to discover their Jewish identities in the process of standing up for their people. Moses was an Israelite baby who was rescued and raised by Pharaoh's daughter. She's the one who gave him his name, and it's actually based on an Egyptian word that a lot of pharaohs had in their name, like Ramses or Tutmoses, if I'm saying that one right. Moses is a name that kind of works in both Egyptian and Hebrew. Esther was a young Jewish woman who a lot of people didn't know was Jewish, like even the king when he chose her to be queen. She was like a lot of us because she had a Hebrew name, Hadassah, but she was known to most people by her Persian name, Esther. Esther sounds like Ishtar, which was the name of a pagan goddess. Same with Mordechai, by the way, which sounds like the god Marduk, which was also the name of kings in Mesopotamia. The way I read Exodus, Moses might not have even known he was an Israelite until he saw one being beaten and instinctively identified with him and defended him against the Egyptian slave driver. Esther did know she was Jewish all along, but it was mostly something she was hiding. In Hebrew, the name Esther actually sounds like the word for hiding. Being Jewish didn't make a positive difference in her life until she realized she was the only Jew who could talk to the king and do something to save the Jews. Moses had God as a partner, directing him what to do, and Aaron, his brother, standing next to him. Esther had to figure out her plan to get the king to turn against Haman, all on her own, with encouragement from Mordechai, but without him nearby. And even so, it took some luck. I think both Esther and Moses have lessons for us about Jewish identity and how standing up helps you become Jewish in more than name. Esther had to do that in more real-world conditions than Moses. So while the Purim and Passover holidays seem like totally different styles, Purim is a version of Passover that's tweaked for people like us. Think about that. And if you want to add a thought or a question in the comments. And then I'm going to take this another step in the next video.